Hey, Karen, it turns out that Joe Biden's going to be a great president after all.
Really? Why? Hello, this is Karen.
And this is Kevin.
And this is Right From Us.
For some reason, the Bidens had their dog analyzed by a pet psychic the other day. And in the conversation between the dog and the pet psychic, it came up that the dog thought that Joe would be a great president.
What is up with these pet psychics? I mean, I don't believe in that stuff anyway. Do you?
No, I do not.
Well, it also says that Major thinks he may have dental problems. Oh no.
Oh, the dog's name is
dog.
Major?
I guess the dog's name is
Is that-
Major.
is
He has
that the
dental
new-
problems.
Is that the new German Shepherd that they got? His name's
Oh,
Major?
I don't know. The picture in this article shows her like it's almost like a little mini corgi.
Could you? Oh, okay.
But then it says, both dogs, I guess he has more than one dog,
Oh, I see.
say Joe Biden's troubles with Donald Trump are far from over, but their master is calm and focused enough to steer America forward. I'm sure
Can-
those dogs said that.
You know, the new dog
Good
that the
grief.
Bidens got was a German Shepherd. Could you imagine if President Trump had gotten a German Shepherd, they would be calling him a Nazi because German
Oh, yeah.
Shepherd.
Oh, yeah, probably. Any excuse whatsoever. And speaking of Joe Biden's dogs, I guess he tripped over his dogs and broke his foot. Did you hear the
Supposedly,
story
he was
on that?
chasing after the dog with the ball or
Okay,
something
okay,
like
okay.
that.
No.
Just right out of the shower.
Right. So was he naked, running around chasing his dog? He said he started chasing the dog to pull its tail. Is
You
that a
don't-
thing
you
with
don't
dog
pull-
owners?
you
Because
don't
we're
pull a
not
dog's
we're not
tail.
dog owners, so I don't
No,
know.
you
Is
don't
that
pull a dog's tail.
That is the weirdest, lamest story I've ever heard.
There was also some breaking news this week that there's going to be a cat in the White House.
Oh wow, boy, I could say something to that, but that's not really family friendly, so I won't say that.
That could you imagine them having stories like this about the Trumps? I mean, this is the most ridiculous.
Pet psychic. I
Pet
guess
psychic
these
and having
dogs
a
and
cat
cats are talking
in
to
the
her,
White
I
House.
guess.
Yeah.
That is so bizarre to me, but I mean, I guess no offense if you believe in that, but we do not believe in that. I think that's pretty stupid and lame, but that's just my opinion. I guess we don't own pets though, so I don't know. Do pets talk to their owners? I guess they do via a psychic. But anyway, I don't know. If he gets into the office, the White House, this is going to be an interesting transition, I
I
think.
mean, it's not over yet.
Well, we'll see.
What
I don't
has
know.
that
I
been?
just don't
What-
think he's going to be able to pull
It's
it
been
off.
it's been a month now, just almost a month. On Tuesday,
I mean,
it'll
they're
be a month.
running out of time. Isn't it
4
December
weeks.
14th?
Yeah, so we've got what 9 more days here. So
I mean, I don't think he's going to be able to pull it off. I really
I don't know. I think that the new path that Rudy is taking,
I
dealing with the
think-
legislatures is a pretty good
Well,
idea.
they have a lot of questions. They have a lot of things that make you go, But do they really have hard evidence and proof? I think their biggest roadblock are these judges that are refusing to even hear their cases. Like they're just kind of
Well, that sort of has to happen though if they want it to get to the Supreme Court. They have to be turned down by the state judges.
Which in some ways, I guess, is a good thing because if it gets to the Supreme Court and they're all about the Constitution, and a lot of these states blatantly disregarded their state's constitutions, especially Pennsylvania, I think that their state constitution prohibited mail-in ballots, period, and they did that. So
Is that what it was?
yeah. So, I mean, if it gets to the Supreme Court and that's what they're basing their decision on, I don't know. Maybe it's enough to, I don't know. I mean, how does that work? Do they just grant them more time to find more evidence, or do they just overturn it, or do they say, nope, the vote is
that's
null?
kind of the issue. It's like what's going to be the
Like, what's next?
what's the relief? I mean,
right.
they're going to say, okay, well, we just nullify your election. You'll have to do a redo.
See,
or
that's
something.
what I think they should do. I think they should just nullify it, and we should do a redo in those states that are in question. No mail-in ballots. Everybody has to have a photo ID to prove that you are
But
who
you
you
think-
are.
You think about that, it's going to
Well,
be
we forgot to take the battery out of our clock.
that's your job.
That is my job. I'm sorry.
Um, I mean, if they say that there's going to be
Do
a
you wanna
redo,
wait?
that would be months before they could pull that off, wouldn't it? I mean, they couldn't just do that next week.
Well, that's
They'd have to print
that's
the
what I
ballots
mean.
and everything.
I mean, we're out of time. I don't know how that they, even if they
That-
if they
that's
rule in favor of Trump, I don't. I mean, there's no time to do anything.
that's why this idea of going through the state legislatures and having them assign the electors the way they want to is probably the way that it's going to have to be done, because if the Supreme Court says, okay, yeah, you need to do a redo because there was fraud, that's going to be months away. Otherwise, if they do the thing with the state legislators just assigning new electors, they could go do whatever they do, the meeting of the electors on the 14th, and that'll be it.
So basically, they I guess they could just throw out the invalid votes, right? Could the Supreme Court do that though? I don't think they could do that because they're going to rule based on the
how can it-
Constitution.
How can it even be done? I mean, aren't the ballots like all mixed together now? I don't even know how
See,
that works. But
that's what I think is going to be the biggest problem is if there's no question that something happened. There's no question there was fraud. There's no question there was cheating. But the big question is they have to prove it. They have to prove it, and they have no time to do it.
I mean, I think they've got. Did you see that video of the thing that happened in Georgia with they told all the poll watchers to leave,
Yeah.
and then 4 people stuck around, and then they pulled out 4 suitcases, which was like ballot box things, out from under this table, and then started processing them.
Yeah, and I was listening to a soundbite on the conservative talk show that I listen to in the morning before I get ready for work every morning, and they actually had a testimony from one of the poll watchers, and she's actually an immigrant that came to America and gave up her citizenship through India. That's where she came from, and she was talking about how she was just shocked at all of the stuff that was going on and how she was not allowed to do her job and how everybody clapped and cheered when they were escorted off the premises. And she's like, we're all volunteers just trying to ensure there's a fair election, and they're all treating us like an enemy. She said it was just, she could not believe it that our country has gotten to that point. You know, when she came over here thinking America's fantastic, she still thinks that. And, you know, it's just, she was just shocked. It's like, this is what happens in my country, and you guys you're doing this over here. She was seriously disappointed, and it was a really compelling testimony to listen to her talk as an immigrant coming over here, because she's very successful at whatever path she chose to do over here, and she was just shocked to see that America has degraded into something like this. So anyway, it was sad to listen to.
Well, the things
her.
that they've been talking about, if true, you know, of course they're saying it without evidence, according to the news media.
Well, of course they're going to say
But-
that because
but
they
if
don't
this
want
stuff's true, it's pretty bizarre. It's pretty
I don't know.
disappointing. It's
for
like, why
me-
even vote? Why
Well-
even vote if they're just going to run through 600,000 ballots with your opponent?
That's exactly what I was going to say. It's like that's all the more reason for them to go through all of this, all of the questions, because these are some legitimate testimonies sworn under perjury of law that, you know, something weird's going on. Okay, if nothing else, take Trump out of the equation for a moment. That, if nothing else, warrants an investigation.
Yeah, they had some on this Georgia tape, the Georgia video that came out. They had some anonymous sources from within the Georgia government say, well, that's how it's always been done. And it's like, okay, why are they accepting an anonymous source on that? Why don't they come out and sign an affidavit,
Right. Well, I don't know. I really don't want Joe Biden to be our president, and here's the thing. If people were genuine about this and they really wanted Biden to be in there and they're really convinced that Biden won, what are you scared of?
Just do an audit. Let's just do an audit, man. Bring it on.
Okay, so if we recount and we do an audit and it's fair and square, Joe Biden won fair and square. Okay, well then I guess he's our new president. But there are so many questions and so many avenues, like gray areas, that I think it warrants an investigation just to make sure. Because otherwise, we don't really know. And then is this going to set a precedent for future elections? Because if at every election people are just going to cheat, then the voter is obsolete. There's no reason for the voter to even get involved if you're just going to cheat anyway.
Yeah, why even vote?
Right.
But anyway, I guess this thing with the legislature might be the easiest way to get it done. But the thing that I've been thinking about and wondering about, and I haven't heard anybody else talk about, is what's to keep the Democrat legislatures from doing the same thing and just turning a red state to a blue state.
Yeah.
You know, I wonder what states could that be a factor. You know,
And
you know they're going to try it.
Oh, I know. I know. There's no question. And I think for me at this point in time, I'm more nervous about the Georgia Senate race than anything else because it's like crucial that we get a Republican senator
That
in
is
there.
a concern.
And
we got Sidney Powell out there in Linwood saying, "Don't vote." To
Which,
the Republicans.
what the hell are they doing? Why
That-
would you tell people that?
That is so crazy.
That's I just don't understand it. I don't know what their end goal is. To me, it's almost like they're fighting against the Republicans by saying things like that. No, get out there and vote and get these Republican senators in there so that because if the Democrats people, let's think about this for a moment. If the Democrats take control of the White House, the House, and the Senate, dude,
We're pretty much screwed.
We're in trouble. We're in big trouble because we need a Republican House or Senate or
Need
both.
something to balance things out.
Yes. Checks and balances. That's what it is. That's what it's all about.
Okay, well, in some good news, Biden's out there trying to unify everybody, and he actually
I'm
was
going to roll my eyes with that.
he was actually quoting from the Book of Palms this week.
Yeah, I'm not a big Bible. I mean, I know my Bible chapters, but I'm pretty sure I don't know the Psalms.
Palms.
I mean the
It's
Palms.
Palms. I've been saying that wrong all these
Can't even
years.
say it wrong. Can't even say it incorrectly.
I've been saying that wrong all these years. It's actually Palms. It's the
Yeah,
the S that's silent.
But now,
after
Kevin,
all.
wait a minute. Whoa. He's supposedly a devout Catholic, so maybe he knows something we don't know.
Yeah.
He's a devout
Actually,
Catholic.
I read the Book of Palms every day, and I've been quoting it wrong all these years. And I guess it's the second letter that's silent. I also read the Book of Proverbs every day. It's the second letter that's silent.
Oh Lord!
Apparently.
I tell you what, if nothing else, if Joe Biden ends up being our next president for the next 4 years, I think we're going to have a lot of fun stuff to talk about.
There is going to be a lot of funny things happen.
And you know what? I don't know. I should have linked to that article or whatever, but there's some pretty great videos already out before he's even taken office where he makes no sense. You listen to him, and you're like, what? What?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
That isn't.
And
he
the news
contradicts
media
himself.
just goes, "Oh yeah,
Yeah. Oh, on something else. Have you noticed that they've already started the pictures with the halo around his head?
Yeah,
Makes
I
it look
saw-
like they got like a ring of
I
light
saw
around his
one
head. Looks
today."
like he has a halo.
Well, it had like the presidential seal back behind
Yeah.
him, so it looked like a halo
yeah.
over
And
his
they
head.
did the same thing with Obama too.
There was
so.
an interview yesterday with
It's just
Biden.
so funny.
Did you hear this?
Good
He
Lord,
said that Biden said that he and Barack had an agreement that if they ever had a serious disagreement, that one of them would just resign. They would just claim to have some kind of a serious illness and resign.
mean when Obama was in office?
Yeah, and he said that that's what he and Kamala have agreed to do. If either
Oh,
If
there
either
is
one-
no way in
if
hell
either
that's
one-
happening.
if either one of them ever had a serious disagreement over some moral issue, one of them would just state that they had some kind of a serious illness and resign.
There's no way.
And apparently that's what he and Barack
No,
the agreement.
there is no way.
That's what he said yesterday.
No, he may have said that. There's no way that would actually happen, though.
That I almost think that that's what they've got planned. That is what they've got
Well,
planned.
I
That's
definitely
why.
think they're trying. There's some kind of plan to get Biden out of office. He's a puppet. There's no question. I mean, he's in there to do what he's been being told.
I just think he doesn't control his tongue very well, and he lets out lets the cat out of the bag. Just like when when the election, a few days
Yeah.
before the election, he said we've got the greatest fraud organization
Yeah.
in history.
Yeah, that's one thing about
I think that
whatever
he just let loose his secret there.
Yeah, whatever's going on with Biden's brain, I think that's maybe one upside. Though I feel sorry for the guy, I really do, because if he really has beginning of Alzheimer's or dementia or something, I mean, that's not a laughing matter for sure. And I do feel sorry for the guy. But one side note uptick to that though would be, I mean, if that makes him have some kind of truth serum, when he just starts,
I think
you
he
know,
does.
saying the truth, then it might be kind of refreshing actually. So I don't know. We'll see. But all I know is I think people are getting tired of listening about it and you know what, something else that's really frustrating about this whole process is the Republicans they don't even have our backs on this.
If this was the Democrats, they would be out in front of the cameras every single day saying we're backing
Right.
up the president or whatever.
And that is one thing I can say for the Democrats is that
They fight.
they
Man, they
rally together and they stand as a united front. And that is something that I have to say I admire about the Democrats. They really stick together, and the Republicans do not. They just run scared, and it's like, where are you going?
Just like
The fight's not
whenever
over.
in Missouri we had Todd Aiken who said something really stupid, and then all of the Republicans just trashed on
Yeah.
him, and then we
They
ended up
completely about faced.
with Claire
McCaskill.
McCaskill because
Yeah.
of if
She was
people
a
would just
nightmare.
stuck with Todd Aiken, which I didn't really like him that much anyway, but if it had been the Democrats, if it had been reversed, they would have stuck with.
Okay, and speaking of
And we got
candidates,
Claire McCaskill, and then Obamacare as a result
right?
of that.
Yeah. And speaking of candidates, Kevin and I kind of disagree on this. I don't know what you guys' thoughts are, but I don't think, okay, if Trump, for some miracle, pulls this off and becomes our next president for the next 4 years, or no, he doesn't pull it off and Biden's the president, then I think Trump should not run in 2024, and Kevin thinks he should. We disagree on that. I think we need to get some fresh blood in there, like a Ted Cruz or a Senator Sass or, what's that one woman's name? What's her name?
You know,
She is so awesome. But one of these strong conservatives that get in there and will fight the fight.
the thing about President Trump is he's an outsider, and he is really the only person that can fight the way that needs to be fought against the news media and against the left. He's the only one that doesn't care. I mean, he didn't care. He cares about the country, and he'll fight for it.
And I understand what you're saying, and you're right. But I think that we need to get someone in that fights for the really important stuff. Because I feel like President Trump has done a great job of fighting for us and having our backs, and that's great because it's been refreshing actually to actually have a president in there that'll do that. But he's crass. He doesn't have very good. I mean, he's not very diplomatic in his speech, and I think he spends. Hold on, I think he spends most of his time fighting the media before he could even get into the issue that we need to discuss and fight for. You know what I mean? It's like he just keeps. It's just an uphill battle.
I was sort of
for
thinking
him.
about that today, earlier. Like on the press conferences, how the media is just like completely out of control. Why doesn't he just take control of those press conferences and say, if you can't act civilized in this,
Then I'm going to ask you to leave.
we're gonna pull your press pass.
Yes, exactly.
And not let you come back
Yes.
in. Why doesn't he do that?
I
and
don't know.
I think here's why. Because he likes the entertainment
He
value of
does.
it. Don't you think? I mean,
I think he kind of likes the fight. And then-
otherwise, I mean, they could just pull the press passes of these people and say, if you can't act civilized, you can't come
Right.
back in here.
Right.
And
But
it would be
I
quiet.
also think he does it to showcase to the American people because this is about the only time they ever see him that's not being like, well, I guess that's not true. Because, I mean, the mainstream media only takes snippets of what he says and twist it out of context. So you really need to see his in full speech to understand the full context. Don't listen to the mainstream media because they're going to put up the sound bites they want to push their own agenda. But I think that he does it as well to kind of showcase to the American people how hypocritical and how out of control the media is, and they're not interested in reporting the news. They don't have the Americans back. They don't care about you as a person. So I think he does it to kind of showcase that, and he has coined some great terms that's probably going to go down in history, like fake news,
Actually,
which I think.
Hillary Clinton actually came up with that term.
Oh, she did?
Yeah. Fake
Really?
news. Yeah, that was Hillary Clinton.
Oh.
Yes, it was.
That's interesting. Was that during when they were running for president together? Is
yes,
that when
it
she
was.
said that?
That was 2016.
Well, I think President Trump has done a good job in bringing it to the American people's attention that the media is biased and all that stuff.
Well, to a certain portion of the people. I mean,
Well, at least half, according to the votes.
Yeah, yeah, that's
But
true.
anyway, so I don't know. We kind of disagree on that. And what is your reasoning for wanting him to run in 2024?
Because he's the only one that can stand
yeah.
up.
He
I mean,
said
just
he'll
like
fight
just
for
like
you,
right
yeah.
now, all the Republicans are a lot of the probably the majority of the
I think
Republicans
the
are just
majority.
caving
Yeah.
already. I mean, like the next day they were caving
I know.
when there was obviously some issues that needed to be resolved before they could.
I don't know. I just feel like if we have any hope of getting the presidency back, it's got to be someone other than Donald Trump. I just think people are over it, and I don't know.
I think that if
What
we
do you
don't get
guys
Donald
think?
Trump back in there, we'll never have
Republican again?
a
Well,
anybody but a left
I don't
wing
know. I don't know.
left wing president.
maybe.
Okay, so we got these lockdowns happening again.
Which, my gosh, did you see the video of that poor woman? Where was she from? Let's see. Hold on. You had a. Do we have that? Actually, it's on the TatumReport.com. I saw the link to that. Yeah, bar owner slams. It's L.A., of course. Bar owner slams L.A. Mayor Garcetta for special treatment to movie company while shutting her down. There's a video of her, and she's literally standing outside of her business, and she has set up this nice tent on the other side of her business outside with tables so people can come in and they can eat at her restaurant. And yet she's being told, nope, you can't do that. It's too dangerous. You can't allow people to come in and do that. And yet literally across the street, she's got a video of it. There's a movie. I guess there's
A
getting
movie
ready
company, yeah.
and they've got like tents, like 3 or 4 huge tents set up across the street with the same setup, picnic tables, the whole thing, and that is perfectly fine. And this video of this poor woman who's so upset, and so she's like pleading with people like, this has got to stop. This is wrong. You're putting people out of business. People can't pay their bills or feed their family. I mean, I had tears in my eyes when I watched this because she was just so.
That was very sad.
It was very sad. You guys, that's evil
And,
to
I mean,
take
there
that away from people.
There are thousands of businesses in California that are just you can't open up. You're not considered essential.
I think that's
but yet
evil.
a movie company, strip club, a bar, a marijuana place is considered essential. Churches can't do that either. So
I don't
that's
know.
really pretty bad.
I hope at some point in time that they can like prosecute or have some kind of legal recourse, because I just think it's criminal and evil that they're doing this. They're strangling these small businesses, and for what?
I always thought that they were really amplifying the virus to hurt President Trump, which is what they did for sure. But I think it's almost there's like a more sinister thing going on here too, where they're trying to make people more
Yeah.
dependent on government.
I think so too.
Don't
I
you
think it's a socialist agenda, and if nothing else, even if they don't meet that goal now, they've introduced the idea. They've gotten people used to listening to them and abiding by them. Like people don't even question. My thing growing up was always ask questions. Always ask questions. What's the harm in a question? If this is right and this is what needs to be done, then let's talk about it. It's a question. We can't even ask questions anymore without being labeled a racist or whatever. And that's dangerous.
You're
That's-
anti-science, Karen.
Man, that is a dangerous path to go down. You can't even
You're
ask a question.
You're a science denier.
You can't even have a differing opinion.
Yeah, it's just like as long as you're listening to the right scientist, you're fine. But if you listen to the wrong scientist, then you're an anti-science and science denier.
Which, I mean, goes against the very grain of what science is, right?
Yeah. Hey, so I was just kind of looking back. They're talking about. I mean, the news media is just freaking out about the number of hospitalizations right now.
Mm-hmm.
And did you know that for the 2017, 2018 flu season, there were 710,000 flu hospitalizations that season.
I'm sorry, give me that year again.
2017, 2018.
Gotcha. Yeah. And isn't it funny how virtually nobody is coming down with the cold and the flu now? I mean, are there any
Yeah.
numbers for that?
Yeah, it's down. I talked about that last week. It was the flu is down 98% this year.
Think about that for a minute. 98%. Wow.
So
What a miracle.
Well, yeah.
The flu
It's
is
either
no longer
it's
a threat.
It's probably a combination of a couple things. People are definitely cleaner, but these COVID cases are really flu. I mean,
Yeah.
I've got a graph here. Did you see this graph on number 7
so-
there?
Which one you got?
The first
Oh,
one.
okay,
the first,
gotcha.
can you get to that?
Yeah, I can get to it. He's got a nice little spreadsheet spread up with links and everything, so we're getting pretty organized, guys. This is becoming big time.
But just look at that. See the little triangles at the bottom?
Yeah.
That is the
Oh, I see.
that's the 2000. That's this year's flu season.
Wow.
And see the gray one, the first gray one?
Uh-huh.
That is the 2010.
2009-10 season.
Yeah. And look at that, almost is like a mirror image of the COVID this year, which is not shown on this graph, but
Well, yeah.
but
I
if
don't
you look
know.
at the month,
I have a lot of mixed thoughts on this. I have a foot in both worlds.
yeah.
I really do. And I know that you don't understand it because you don't see it. But with me working at the hospital, I see this every day. I hear the rapid response, every day, several times. Team 19, which is code for a patient with COVID is crashing and in trouble. And it's very sobering. And so it's not a laughing matter. It is a real disease.
It is definitely serious, especially if you've got
I just feel like our response has been way over. We're overreacting.
Mhm.
I think.
There have been other years where there have been, hospitals are full,
Of flu
and there's
people,
been
right.
yeah, and there's been nothing, no lockdowns,
Right.
no masks,
Right.
nothing, not even on the
Right.
news hardly. I remember in 2010, which is that one year that first
Mhm.
line,
Yeah.
that was the year I was in the hospital, and they when I got to the hospital, they were wiping everything down, talking about the virus.
Really? In your motorcycle accident?
Uh huh. And I had not even heard about anything at
I
that
don't
point.
remember that. Of course, I was so focused on you
Yeah.
and getting
Well,
better.
you weren't there at that point, but it was when I was in the room and the nurses were
Well,
setting my room up.
Okay. Let me correct that for a moment. What's
that?
Okay, so let me correct the record here because he had a motorcycle accident in 2010. He crashed headlong into somebody.
No, I didn't crash
well,
into
no,
somebody. Somebody crashed into
okay,
me, a
sorry,
drunk driver.
Yeah, it was a bad deal. Anyway, and then she drove off thinking he was dead. Long story short, we caught her. But anyway, it crushed his pelvis, and they had to ship him up to Columbia to a specialty hospital because we couldn't really handle him down here in our town. And his mom and I lived in the hospital for 2 weeks. We lived with you for 2 weeks, so I would have remembered
Well,
them.
no, actually, I'm talking about when I came back down to the rehab center. When they were
I
setting
thought you
me
were
up
talking
there.
about Columbia.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you're right, because I only came in to visit you.
Yeah.
And it wasn't actually there with you all the time. So.
Yep. Okay, well, we're going to have to wrap this up here.
Not quite yet. There's something else I wanted to say real fast. Also, speaking of COVID, there was a story again by our conservative talk show host here in our town, and they were talking about, where was this, by the way? Let me find out. Oh, you know what? I think I may have lost it. There was a poor little man who was, heartbreaking photo shows PPE clad doctor comforting lonely elderly COVID-19 patient. Where was this? I don't see where this was. Oh, wait, it's United Memorial Medical Center in Houston. So this poor little old man, he is dying from COVID, and there's a heartwarming picture of this doctor in full PPE gear giving him a hug and comforting him, because the old guy is crying, and he's just beside himself. He's wandering the halls, he's wailing, he wants to see his wife because he's dying. He wants to say goodbye to his wife, and they won't let her in. But this picture of him, hugging the doctor, and they're all like, oh, that's such a heartwarming, and that's so sad what's happening to him and everything. But then this conservative talk show host brought up a really great point. He's like, wait a minute. So they're going to and this photo was taken by a photographer hired by Getty Images, which is a pretty big photography site. And the picture is nice, and it is heartwarming, and it did go viral. But they're going to let a photographer come in and take pictures of all these sad patients who are wanting their family there, and they're not going to let his wife in to say goodbye. Guys, come on. That's terrible.
Yeah, and he's going from room to room, probably spreading germs
Probably.
That's terrible.
Isn't that awful? I don't know. Anyway, okay, so let's end with our highs and lows. What was your high and low for this week, Kev?
Why don't you start?
Okay.
My whole week was high, and I didn't have any lows.
Really? You didn't have anything that you were disappointed by, or you heard something in the news that you're like, wow.
That thing about that lady today with
Yeah,
her
that's
restaurant
true.
being closed and while the movie company that was
He
pretty,
actually wiped a tear.
that was pretty
I
sad.
can tell
have
he
to
was
say I
pretty
was
sad.
kind of teary.
It was
there
sad.
about
It was
that.
very sad.
I just really feel bad for these people in California and Michigan and wherever.
I know, because their choice has been completely taken away from them. Their livelihood's been taken away. Well, my high was the doctor I work for. We have our local magazine has top doc of the year, I guess, or month or quarterly. I'm not sure how they do it, but every single time he's mentioned, but he's never the winner. He's always a runner-up, so he's always the bridesmaid, never the bride. Well, this patient found out about it, and so she bought him a trophy that says number one doc on it, and it just made us all laugh, and it was really nice of this patient to do it. She's
That's pretty
super
nice.
sweet. So that was my high. And then the low was that they've mandatory that everybody has to now wear goggles in the hospital.
You had to know that was coming, man.
I know.
It's an airborne virus, and it's like that's another place that the virus could go. So
And
Dr.
my
Fauci was talking
goggles
about
are
it
just
6
like-
months ago.
Yeah, I know. It was just really depressing that's one more thing being put upon us.
I wish Dr. Fauci would just
We're so browbeaten.
go away.
Right?
I mean, think about how much power
I know.
and all the basically economic destruction
Yeah.
one man has
Well,
caused.
that and the CDC,
Yeah.
the organization.
Okay, there's going to be a look up if you go outside sometime in the next couple of
Oh,
days.
yeah.
Look up, and you'll see Jupiter, and Saturn in really close in the sky, like in the southwest. You'll see.
How often does that happen?
I don't know. I don't know. Once every million years. I don't know. I think it. I don't know. But it's pretty rare. It's pretty cool.
But it's too bad you don't have a telescope anymore to look at it.
Uh-huh. It's too bad. But I got the money for selling the telescope, so
All right. I think, are we done?
That's
Is
it.
there anything else?
Nope, that's
okay.
it.
All right. I guess we're going to wrap this up. Thanks so much for watching, guys. We appreciate your time and have a great week. We'll talk to you next
See you
time.
later. Bye.
Bye.
Hey, Karen, did you hear that actually...
Do we do that, by the way?
Probably. Hey, Karen, it turns out that Joe Biden is going to be an act...
And you're telling me to drink more coffee.
Hey, Karen.
Yes. Yes, Kevin.
Oh, I'm too loud. Oh, check 1, 2. Hey, Karen.
Yep.
It turns out that Joe Biden's going to be in a good pit.
We could be here a while. We can't get past our starting line.